Welcome to the Neurohacker podcast. Today with Sid Friedman, and this episode will be very experientially, and I invite you to listen to this episode not just with your mind but also with your heart, with your whole body. And we're going to dive deep into the peace that so many of us are longing for right now. There's this chaotic world full of violence, and we're not denying any of that. We're not bypassing any of that. But in this episode, we're going to show you a peace that is already there. And I'm very lucky and blessed to have Sid Friedman here. Please take us away and show us how can we access more peace right now.
Good to be with you, Max. And hello, everyone. So the peace, love, and fulfillment that you want, where is that to be found? Is it tomorrow? Is it when we have a larger bank account? Is it when this picture of happiness, the partner, the job, laying on the beach occurs? Or is it accessible here and now? Now really, how do you view that? How do you understand the fulfillment, the happiness you seek? Where is it to be found? What we're going to look at today is applying a model called internal family systems to our path of realizing the fulfillment that we are. And in this experience, it's just divided into one of two things. We either are abiding as what they call beingness, isness, what we call the self, this peace, this fulfillment, this love that we are, or whatever you view your intrinsic nature to be. What do you view your intrinsic nature to be? For some, they think of it like the sky that's always here, and then there's the weather that comes and goes. What is the sky for you? Is it peace? Is it okayness? Is it love? Is it connectedness? Is it unity? And can you discern that from the weather, this which comes and goes, the thoughts, feelings, and sensations? What we're pointing to is really the core discernment in most psychology and spiritual paths. The discernment between the sky and the weather. And so that's the setup. Let's make this real. Let's dive in together into how this is experienced inside each of us. So if it's helpful, you're welcome to close your eyes. And as we're here now, can you sense maybe a connectedness with me and Max, or a connectedness with the space you're sitting in, a connectedness with your heartbeat, with the body, with the air that you're breathing, a connectedness with the tree outside your home. We're looking this quality of connectedness. What's most like connectedness that's here now for you? Connectedness. As you notice that, can you let yourself sink into it? What's the somatic experience of connectedness? And then from here, is there peace here? Or maybe it shows up as calm, or stillness, or silence. What's most like peace, calm, stillness, or silence that's here now? And as you notice that, you join me in sinking in to this quality of your nature. And what's the somatic experience of that? As we continue looking at what they call these qualities of beingness, is there anything you're having to do to find these? The connectedness, the peace? Or is it just here? Could it be that it is just like the sky? But it's just obscured by the clouds, by the weather. So what else is here as we notice this ever-present sky, you? Is it possible that there's an okayness here? To call it causeless okayness. In this peace, can you touch where there is an absence of lack, an absence of wanting, where there's just okayness, just as it is? And for some, this absence of lack is even a sense of fullness, joy, or happiness that's causeless. It's just here. Or maybe it's just presence. It just comes as presence. Okayness, joy. What's most like that which is here? And is there anything you have to do for this to be here? What's the somatic experience of this absence of lack? We're becoming more intimate with the sky, with this beingness. But then let's notice there's the sky and then there's the weather. For some, there's the background, this beingness, and the foreground, the thoughts, feelings, and sensations. So what in you obscures right now this essential peace, connectedness, okayness, joy that you are. What's obscuring it now? See if you can find that. What thoughts, what voices are you hearing? Is there a skeptic? Do you hear a voice saying, oh, this is just some new age silliness, or maybe I can feel this right now, but in real life, when I'm at work or with the kids or driving, this isn't realistic. So as you notice that, if there's a skeptic there, notice if you can find a skeptic. And then can you have a sense of a location? Where does that voice come from? Is it in your head? Is it out to the right? Mine is just kind of up here, up to the right. Where do you hear the skeptic? Or is it more a sensation in the body? See if you can find that location. And then maybe there's another voice. There's a sense of, oh, this could be useful. I like this peace. I like this stillness. I like this okayness. Let's see, how are we going to keep this? How are we going to hold on to this? How are we going to make this occur more often? How are we going to be able to rest and abide in this loveliness? Can you find a voice like that? And we might call it, some people call it a spiritual achiever. One that's like, oh, I want to rest as the sky, as the spaciousness more. And if you can find this voice, the one that likes this, oh, there might be something here for me. Can you locate where do you hear that voice in your system? See if you can really pay attention to it. What's the location of it? Is it in the head? Is it in front of you? Is it in the heart? Is it in the gut? And so we've got two. We're going to look at a couple more, but now comes the difficult part. Let's see. Right now, are you still aware of those qualities of beingness that are here now for you? Which qualities of beingness are here? Is there peace? Is there stillness? Is there connectedness? Is there okayness? But those are just a few that I offered. What we're really interested in is your unique, precious system. How does this beingness appear for you? For some, it's love. For some, it's this empty spaciousness. There's a sense of equanimity and aliveness, or a sense of flow. And let's just notice what's here for you. And for now, we'll call that the background. Can you be aware of that or embody that? And then from there, can you be aware of this that's arising, these thoughts, feelings, and sensations? Perhaps those two that we mentioned, the skeptic. Notice a sense of a location for the skeptic, and then a spiritual achiever. And now, because this is the hard part, can you see it all in one view? Can you see the sense of the sky, this peace, this stillness, this flow that you are as the background? And at the same time, see these thoughts, feelings, and sensations that obscure it. How is your system able to do that? In mine, there's a sense of opening up, like zooming out into a sense of like a planetarium, where the galaxy is all around us. The galaxy is this beingness. And the thoughts, feelings, these thoughts, feelings, and sensations are like a constellation of planets. Oh, here's the skeptic and here's the achiever. And can you see it like in one snapshot? And some of you like, this is hard, or this isn't making sense. But there's a real gem here in this. Because if you can be aware of two or more of these, what we label as parts, at the same time, you can't blend. It makes it very difficult to blend or identify with them. And if you're not identified with the weather, what are you identified as? You're identified as the sky. And this is how we get to know, we get to abide as, we get to become intimate with these qualities of beingness, or what they call true nature. And also, it makes it very difficult to suffer. Because if you'll notice these qualities of beingness, the peace, the stillness, the connectedness, is there any lack here? Is there any want as you notice these qualities in yourself? Is there any lack? So there is no suffering here. Where the suffering is in the thoughts when we can see them. And let's just notice what else might be here for you. Maybe there's usually a critic that arises in my system. And it might be a critic saying, gosh, Sid is just going way too fast, or this isn't really useful, or this is too much. And notice that, the precious part that's trying to take care of us. And where do you hear that voice of the critic? Again, can we see it like in the sky as a planet? Or maybe it shows up differently for you. Maybe it's an ocean, or an infinite warm hot tub. And these are just little aspects of you that are soaking in the hot tub. Or maybe it's an empty sky. Or maybe the critic is going internally. Like, oh, I should be able to do this differently. If we can just notice it. This is the core of all meditation practices, this discernment. And I'll throw out one more thing. Is there a vulnerability here? Is there a discomfort? Can you feel any discomfort here? Maybe it's an agitation. Maybe it's a stress. Maybe it's an anxiety, or maybe it's a boredom. I don't like this. Is that you, or is that something that you're aware of? Can you find where this discomfort is? Like in my system, it's in the lower belly. Can you find it? Can you label it? Can you find a location? And notice when you are aware of it, there's a big difference between I'm uncomfortable, I'm stressed, versus I'm aware of stress, anxiety, discomfort. So just as we move towards closure on this journey, I'd like to invite you again to notice, what is the background? What is the quality of beingness that's most pronounced for you right now? Is it peace? Is it stillness? Is it connectedness? Is it okayness? A sense of calm? And then as you're aware of that, can you also be aware of this that's arising in it? The spiritual achiever that might be liking some of this. The skeptic that might be thinking, yeah, this is nice in a meditation, but not really applicable. This critic and this vulnerability, this discomfort. And can you see them all like in a photo? And again, why is this important? One, if you can do that, it can instantly decrease the suffering in your system by 80%. If we can make that discernment, this is why people meditate. This is why people go to 10-day meditation retreats, for this discernment. And secondly, and this is a really cool side of it, if we can see this, if we can see that as every contraction that arises, any sense of lack and want that arises in our system, if we can see that what it arises in is this ocean of peace, this galaxy of warmth and acceptance, then the healing aspect of this happens effortlessly, because there's nothing to do. Is there anything to do when you sit in a hot tub? You just relax. You get the warmth, and contractions in your system, they just release. That's what gets to happen. So this was a whole lot, and this was a lot. This is because with my friend Max, I was like, okay, 20 minutes, we'll try to squeeze in a lot. And I think I was very ambitious. And just as we come back together to Max, as he brings this all together, it was a pleasure being with you today.
Well, Sid, I think I can only say thank you so much, and I invite everyone who watches and listens to this, if you could get a sense for this ocean of peace that is always there, that is a much deeper nature to who you think you are actually. If you could get a sense for that, I would invite you to just pause this episode and just stay in this for a while if you enjoy it, or come back tomorrow, or whenever you feel you could invite some peace into your system. Just come back and save this episode and listen to that again and again and again. And thank you so much, Sid, my friend, for sharing this with the world on this podcast.
May I add that if you'd like to explore this more, I offer no-cost explorations of this weekly. And just to go to the website effortlessifs.com, or you can join a group of me and colleagues at the Facebook group, the IFS non-dual community.
Mm-hmm. We will put the links in the description of this podcast. Much love to you, everyone.